workshop to order.
He's the last
Oh,
one. Yeah.
you're not.
There you go.
Oh, what are you gonna do, golf?
Stirring.
Alrighty. It's 6 o'clock.
Yeah, I did call it to order.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. First thing on the agenda, Chris.
Is the pool painting is complete.
When did they do the last coat, this last week? Cause
This
I was
weekend.
told, all they did was weekend.
Yeah, they worked all weekend.
Gotcha.
And we are looking at filling the pool next week. The pool will need to settle and cure this whole week. Obviously, this project brought on a few extra things, so I just wanted to touch base on a few extra expenses. I did put away $100,000 for this whole project. The bid obviously came in at $72,000, so we will have a bill on cement for the steps. Some other drains and just stuff that we were not compliant with. A diving board also. So we should be just right under 100,000 on this whole project.
So we put in a new diving board?
We have to.
Okay. And we're gonna leave the low board, but the high board.
The high board's gone.
Cause of the
This
insurance.
is the low board,
Yeah.
and the low board, you guys purchased one about 5 years ago, and that's probably the max of the years you'll get out of it, so we're just gonna have to plan that every 5 years we buy a new diving
We
board.
put a big flat, 30-foot platform up there.
I don't know if that'll be any cheaper than.
High diving,
You got,
real high diving.
You gotta test it first, though.
I will do it too. They grew up one.
So, the opening date will be announced next week, because obviously we don't wanna jinx it. We gotta get the water in there, get it filled, make sure that everything is fine before we say the actual opening date.
Definitely getting some good cook time right now.
When's the last day of school?
Next Friday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
don't have a lot of extra help until the fourth anyhow, or the fifth, right?
I did.
Yeah.
Hey,
For what?
safe meeting space.
Alright, number 2, or does anybody have any more questions on the pool project?
What did our aquatic engineer say the life expectancy of that pool after repairs is?
About
50
10
more
years. 10.
And then
Well, after-
there's no more fixing it?
We already exceeded the lifespan of the pool already.
Yeah, I know, but after that, then there's,
I mean, we can keep on going, but probably the repairs that you're gonna have to put into it probably exceeds anything. So if we get another 10 years out of this, we'll be,
Awesome, we can do it again.
Very,
for
very
another 10
happy.
years.
the baby pool
We're gonna be
is,
dead.
the baby pool is the one I'm worried about the most.
What?
That one has some major issues.
What?
did that get redone too?
Well, we had to put a new pump in there,
The drain was bad.
there's just a lot of issues with the baby pool. We'll get it up and running, but that I see going before the whole big one, so. But, nice white paint and it's bright, very bright down there. Alright, number 2, water main looping project began today on Joy Avenue. This project will take about 2 weeks to complete. So I know they were, setting up, we saw the signs go through today. They used their new locating equipment today, they were pretty excited about that. But, so, just so that you guys are in the loop on that. A water wastewater commission meeting is scheduled for Wednesday at 5 o'clock upstairs in the council chambers, to go over all the projects that are going on. Notifications are hooked onto your workshop agenda. Conditional use permit, from the county, notification for Jake Christensen. And then a variance request for setbacks for Matt and Christy Maloney.
What do them have to do with us? Anything?
Just like what we do in town. If a variance or anything, a conditional use permit is requested, we need to send a notice to 350 feet radius around that property to all of the property owners that are within that vicinity. So these two properties are within that area, so we get notification. Even though then they're not in the town, we still get notification of it. But I want you guys aware of them, and so these are the first two that ever came in, so,
Are you going to these?
what?
Are you gonna go to these?
I mean, that would be, okay, I got to, that's what I'm asking then,
No.
you guys need to know if you wanna,
Shit.
okay,
I don't, let them deal with it.
okay. Questions, concerns about any of that?
Well, I'd have some concerns about stormwater on both actually. Probably not as much on Maloney's,
Maloney's.
but on Jay's. Just where it's gonna end up.
Nothing we can do about it.
Yeah, there's something county can do about it.
They're gonna need to do something about it.
Right, but if we don't voice our opinion that it's gonna run down our, street and overfill our water capacity for storm sewer next to total lawn care, then it becomes our issue if he doesn't do it correctly.
Cause the pond in that location is already to its max.
Right, so. I guess, and I mean, I don't know if
And you really don't have to show up, all you have to do
Send a
is send a
letter.
letter that the council's concerned about stormwater runoff from Jay Christensen's property. Because our storm drain catchment system and pond system is to its max.
Won't that run down the back of the field?
it might.
It might, because there is a
It'll be
grade.
flooding out his own area.
Yeah, nobody knows though, that's all they see.
It depends upon what he does for profile grading on the lot after he built the building up that high. Does he pitch that towards the front or does he pitch to the back of the lot?
Also is gonna depend on what he does, I guess I haven't heard if he's gonna do asphalt parking lot or if he's gonna do all gravel or what he's gonna do. My only
I believe it was
concern,
gravel.
my only concern is, I don't know if you've driven by Searles lately.
They got a big puddle around
Yeah.
those
What's
sheds.
that back there?
Well, they didn't do a stormwater project.
Well, there was an actual pond there, but without proper pond maintenance.
It's definitely got 40
The-
acres of beans full of water right now.
Right, and the outlet I think is probably plugged, so that type of situation would not be beneficial for anybody on the total lawn care side of that property, so.
Mhm.
Just
Okay.
submit a view in writing.
I'll submit,
Just a
from
letter of concern that,
for the stormwater management and
right, that would be the
the
only
site
concern.
drainage plan.
Right,
Just due to our
Did-
pond being at its max already.
right, was there anything about Matt's that, I mean, other than it being too close to the road, is that what the,
I'm not even really,
just the
Matt
whole-
was actually in today, should've, I don't even know, did I even have these when Matt came in? No, I don't think I did.
What's he doing?
Up at the top of the hill, as in building his building, Cody?
As far as I know. I don't know where or what, or.
What?
Dave Smith's.
The old
okay.
Smith property.
He's gonna build something up there?
So,
Yeah, but I
he's,
don't know exactly
I'm
where.
gonna do some.
he's asking for a variance for construction on his structure, which would not meet right-of-way setback, so,
So it could be just because of the Hammond Highway right away and how far it is.
yeah, it
setback
could
or
be
something.
a combination.
Cause it's
of
roll
things.
and the distance on roll is farther setback than.
It's possible. Okay.
How do you, does anybody on the council want me to, do anything in that regards?
You know, I don't think there'd be any issues with that variance, but,
Cause that water's gonna run to the ditch and run down to the river and you aren't gonna slow it down.
shouldn't really change much.
Wipe out Armadillo's sign.
I doubt it's gonna be there, it's gonna probably be closer to the driveway.
What's he putting up there?
I don't
I just- You know, Dan,
No
when you
clue.
talk to the guy every day.
No.
What's he putting up there? Does it really say, just a building?
Building living quarters. Okay, anything else on, conditional use permit?
That's one.
Okay, let's move on to utility billing position.
Tonight on the council, we have to approve Michelle Rustin, to start on June 7th. She will be doing half days from June 7th to the 10th and start full days on June 11th. She will be replacing Sam.
Who is it? Oh, that's right, you're not married.
Move along.
And then the next one I was hoping Rob was gonna be here, but Rob had, some issues, so he's not here. But nuisance letters have been going out for the last couple weeks, and this is in regards to, lawns, or tall lawns and whatnot. But debris letters went out this last week, and debris means like, properties that just have stuff that needs to be cleaned up. And we have one property in particular that, will be coming up for forfeiture this year that, will be on the list. And I was, like I said, I was kinda hoping you'd be here to kind of give a little bit more on that one.
And that one has a big house on it, right?
Yeah, it's just in the corner. But the gentleman, we have not seen him, we don't know where he is. He's like gone. And so he has left us with, much debt. We have assessed, a very high amount this last year to his, taxes due to delinquent water bills, snow removal. And now we're looking at possibly sending people out to mow the lawn and take care of it, until we get to a certain point. So. But,
What do you think it's gonna come for tax forfeiture, it's gonna come up to,
yep. So we're looking already in July that this property, if nobody takes care of it, it's already 5 years. 5 years past due, and then with all the assessments that we put onto the property.
so we'll go to auction or we'll go to?
No,
forfeiture?
they'll
No.
come to us first.
It goes to us first, and then if we don't choose to do it, then it goes to auction.
So if we,
Buck.
well, the city basically can take it on it, but we also will take on a pretty big hit of cleaning it up. I'm looking at the cleanup being almost $50,000.
Can you not say the address or?
Tim Royce,
Oh,
Tim Royce's property.
okay.
I'd be more than happy to
Bet.
publicize that all over the paper.
Well, what about the other houses in town?
Yes, they're also on, but nobody is as
This far.
delinquent as
Yes,
this
I
one.
understand that,
But the other
you know,
ones, yep, we'll start going through the list, and, that's what that's why Rob and I are gonna get a plan of action.
Yeah,
So they let him out of jail and they don't know where he disappeared to.
And nobody knows where he's at, and all of his mail comes back to us, so even by going through the notifications and everything is being returned to us.
Plus there's
I think Rob
significant,
is the one that has to do that.
That's the one with the trailer.
Yeah.
Trailer in the back laying there.
Yeah.
There's
The tree
a,
ratchet strapped together, 'cause it's got a crack in it.
there's a hot tub back there.
Oh, there's a hot tub?
There's
Oh,
a big
yeah.
hot tub back
Sweet.
there, and then there's like a, one of those carport kind of tent things,
Yeah.
and
So
There's
what would be your plan if the city did take that on? We'd clear the site, sell it for, is it a single lot or doubles?
single. But it would
Sold to
be
Travis.
50,000, because we know that there's plumbing issues. We've
Yeah, but
been-
what's owed again? Couldn't you just sell it to somebody the way it is?
You can, if you
can.
get somebody that's willing to buy it.
Travis Geyer will buy
Do not write that.
anything. Yeah, don't put that one on the
Oh,
paper,
yeah.
but he will.
No, we're good, we're good.
I mean,
No, I think at this point, I think,
I don't think Travis is spending money this month.
No.
I don't know.
think he's behind on
We,
what he's got going right now.
I think if we go into a plan of action, I think we go into a plan at the worst. So that would be literally coming in and completely cleaning the whole
Just
place, demolishing the house,
taking
cleaning,
those down.
yep, and trying to figure out what the plumbing issues,
Yep,
yeah,
curb stop is shut off right now because there was a massive water leak,
yep.
so it was an emergency shut off.
So we don't know how much water is actually sitting in the house currently and how damaged everything is. You know, there's a lot that is going into this thought process of this $50,000 of,
But you're thinking it's like 6 weeks away from reverting back
and is it,
sometime in July?
if nobody pays for anything, but if
Right.
somebody comes in and pays for it, it'll go back on the tax rolls, and then we're still sitting at something that's not cleaned up, so the debris letters have to start going out right now to go through the process of the 30, the 60, and the 90 days in regards to taking care of the items.
But if it goes to like tax auction or whatever, you're not guaranteed that you're gonna get what you're owed.
No, nope, we won't get anything.
It'll be a big loss.
Oh, you wouldn't get anything.
No, we're basically, we lose pretty much everything.
But the city could get it and essentially put it up for bid for somebody to buy.
If you want to, but chances are, I don't know what you'd get on something like
Oh, I
that.
would
I don't
want-
know what's inside, I'm
But
just.
what are you gonna, I'm just getting at, what are you gonna get for the lot once you spend all that time cleaning up, what are you gonna get, $5,000?
You're gonna get a clean lot, a clean neighborhood, then possibly you can get somebody in there to produce, or even the neighbors to buy the other lot, maybe they wanna have another lot. I'm just saying, it's a way to clean up the neighborhood,
Yeah.
and that's super important, I mean.
Well, the lot is worth more than the
Yeah.
vacant house anyway, but I guess I would, if it does come to that point, I would put it out as a request for proposal for salvage demolition.
But I think that's great, I mean, yes, I believe that we have to have a plan of all the different steps, but I do believe if we all agree into going into this, that we all understand the worst scenario.
Right, yeah.
Is
Mhm.
this is how much we're gonna spend, and
Well-
where are we getting these funds from, and,
They buy it. What do we wanna deal with it all?
we
If
are.
we get a hold,
To try
if we
and-
get a hold of it, they just
we-
put it up for sale, as is where it is, and let them do whatever they want to.
I know, that's what I'm saying, like,
But it is a daily occurrence for us, for your staff, to deal with this dilapidated property. And that's why we're proposing that, you know, how do we correct this?
I wouldn't tear it down, unless they can prove there's meth in it, which they might.
But I think that,
So what else you guys gotta do? I just don't know about the whole demolish thing, if somebody's willing to come in and actually
No.
redo it.
but.
That's a worst case, right?
Yeah, it's the worst
Yeah.
case. I
Well, that
want,
worst case, I don't think is a good thing.
but we're gonna have to go in and have some sort of expense in regards to cleaning it up.
So
because-
July, we can get in there,
I'm
if they
not-
don't pay.
Well, if somebody doesn't, if somebody pays, then it's off the books. We
If
can't
it's
do
like the
any-
triangle, you know, they made that first payment, now that's on the, books for another 5 years.
Yeah.
Make the
Oh.
payment.
And they made that first payment on there, and I don't know if they're current this year, I haven't looked, but
Yeah, so it could go back,
All of
but
it.
only to our benefit that it goes back on the tax rolls, because then at that point, then we get reimbursed for everything that we've been assessed them, to them. I mean,
Yep.
yay, but it still doesn't clean up the,
Yeah, no.
the problem of
No.
the dilapidated property,
Yeah.
so.
Probably hard to call off remodel, the price is what they are now too.
That's what I mean, they offered as a sealed bid auction.
Just on
If
the,
you
just
don't-
on the back taxes and everything we got into it.
But even if you don't get that, then offer it as a salvage demolition, and come in and pick it, demo the rest afterwards, see what you get for it, and move on,
Right.
cut it clear and see if somebody will put a duplex or something on it,
That's happened before.
could use a couple more, especially senior living duplexes right now. Probably wouldn't be a terrible neighborhood once that was.
Well, I'm just giving you guys a heads up as to what could come our way, but we will start the letter process right now.
Yep.
That's good.
What else we got on the workshop?
I don't have anything else on my agenda unless somebody else wants to add anything to discuss.
There's some stuff that was tabled last workshop that had to be brought back up.
The 3-2 liquor license.
Yeah, are we gonna tackle that or not?
Well, I can guarantee you it's going to be approved at the state, so, but you guys have to decide if you're gonna approve it or not.
I don't know, I looked at the stuff in St. James cases, that all looked like strong beer to me.
Oh, it all is, that's the, there's nobody that,
So, that's why I'm giving you this other option to decide if you wanna open that can of worms.
no, I talked to our, state representative, Mr. Munson, and he said that the Teamsters Union wasn't gonna allow, right now, we're totally against all 3-2 beer rule changes, so I don't know if it has to do with trucking or what, but it doesn't sound like it's gonna get changed anytime in the near future, but we can definitely keep our monopoly too. I don't know if anybody makes it. Everything I read said 32 beer is like non-existent. So they might be saying they can get it, but they might also just be paying the fines to say it's 32 too, I don't know. That's what I heard everybody does.
Well, yeah, what's the fine?
I have no idea.
Cause they had seltzers in there that were 4%. That's not 3-2.
Right,
It says it right on the case.
Right.
Yeah, the case.
There's something about, there's something about there being a difference between 3-2 by weight and 3-2 by volume. So,
Well, then, no.
I don't know.
it's not gonna hurt Casey's, but
No.
But if you do it for one, you will have to do it for everyone.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that box should get open.
So, is that something that you wanna add to the agenda tonight to say no?
If we're all in agreement, because I'm in the, no, don't give them a license and just leave it alone.
I'm fine with that too, because I have no idea what that law's gonna look like.
Go up, I think
3 or 4
Sarah's
years.
upstairs. Sarah, are you outside? Okay, Heather's gonna come up and get you.
Yeah, so I'd be fine
Alright,
with
bye.
just.
You know, as long as we're all in agreement.
Open yesterday, huh?
Killed it.
Killed what? Trees?
No, I didn't.
Rats. Moss rats running around the course?
Add it to the agenda for tonight.
Hard first couple of those.
Yep. So then I need a motion
Saturday.
to adjourn the workshop, so when Sarah comes down, we can start the
So
audit.
moved.
I got a second?
Yep.
All in favor?
Cody gave me.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Didn't play too well on Saturday.
Did she bring a PowerPoint
Yeah,
along so I
I've
can
done it for
look
you.
at little numbers?
We're gonna make it sometime on Sunday.
I already have it on my phone.
You want this?
You
This
in
is
what?
it. Come on
I
in.
called on Saturday.
No, I don't
Oh,
want one of
she's
them.
got the big books.
Holy cow, Sarah.
Did you not open your email?
Oh, that's probably why it costs so much
Why
money.
sent me email?
Oh, good.
Oh, I said something like that last year when I tried.
Well, that's
Gold.
You got some sun. Where you
I'm
been?
not doing it, I'll just
Oh,
drive
golfing?
around. We'll golf.
A little
They
bit,
get
and then
public
I
it's
sign
small.
it every time.
They need people saying.
Where were
it's a
you?
Tornado.
Well, we
I
were
do
in
sign it
Brainerd
every single time I sign it.
Thursday, Friday,
but I ain't
Saturday,
guaranteed
and then
to.
yesterday in
First of
Hutchinson
all,
for
I don't
baseball.
go usually on the weekend.
So yes, I
unless
did
it's
get
a
some
tournament.
golf in.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking.
I'm Monday through Thursday, that's it. I don't deal with the jungle cruise
So,
out there
alright,
the
what you
weekend.
got? Here,
Yeah, we like.
here's stuff for you.
Okay.
What was I gonna
That's
ask you?
perfect.
Well, I was still on sponsor that Park Days tournament or what?
I
Here.
can, but what am I gonna do?
Well, you gotta tell me yes, we're gonna sponsor.
And I'll get one from the mayor.
What's it gonna be?
It's gonna be
How's Sarah?
Good,
three
you look like
flights
you're a little hurt.
for flight.
No, actually, I feel better.
Say that again.
3 flights.
This is your copy.
Where do you want me?
Flight.
Right there, if you
Right
want
there.
to.
An naughty chair.
You're gonna have the Taylor group, and then you're gonna have
Shopping start.
and then the rest of us?
Oh, I would assume that Mike and Jordan and all those guys will be playing.
Are you ready then, Sarah?
Yep, I'm ready whenever you are.
Well,
I will
let's,
actually-
listen to Sarah and the audit then.
Okay.
Go for it.
Okay, so you have, I think you had both books last year too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the larger one is your actual audit report, the other one's just like a summary report, gives a really high overview. In the audit report, if you go in about 7 pages in, it's gonna be the page on the letterhead. That starts with the independent auditor's report letter. And what the auditor's report letter does is it defines the audits. The first section there says we audited the financial statements of the city of Madelia. The next section gives the responsibility. The management or the city is responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements. They are your financial statements. The next section gives the auditor's responsibility, and our responsibility is to express an opinion on the financial statements based on the audit. It also notes in there that we did not audit the municipal light and water. It's audited by a separate auditor, and it just defines that. The top of page 3 continues on with the roles of the auditor, and then the opinion section, the third paragraph on page 3. Gives you an unmodified or a clean audit opinion. In our opinion, the financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the city. And then the last few sections just kind of define a few of the different sections within the audit. Starting on page 5 gives the management's discussion and analysis section. So this is going to give you that narrative overview of the financial statements. And then on page 15, it shows the government-wide financial statements. So this shows the financials, kind of similar to how you'd see private industry, taking into account all your long-term assets and liabilities of the city. It also shows the municipal light and power plant as a component unit. The total assets of the city were $26,472,000. The deferred outflows were $302,000, liabilities of $6,419,000, deferred inflows of $288,000. So the total net position at the bottom there is $20,066,000. That net position, it gives you, so to speak, the worth of the city. And the largest section there, or not quite, but one of the bigger sections, that net investment and capital assets, that's the money that you have tied up in infrastructure, buildings, equipments, all those long-term assets, so they're not necessarily spendable. The restricted is monies that you've taken in that are restricted by an outside source, and the unrestricted is your spendable operating funds. Page 16 gives the statement of activities. Again, this shows the city as a whole. Kind of that balance sheet gives you a little bit closer view of how we'd see private industry. The statement of activities is a unique financial statement all on its own. We start with expenses and move over to revenues. In no other world in accounting do we really see that. The total change in net position is, in layman's terms, the profit or loss of the fund for the year. And that's towards the bottom there on page 16. So the governmental activities had a $183,000 increase, and the business types had a $575,000, almost $576,000. So about a $759,000 total increase for the city. And then the utility, that component unit, had about $315,000 increase. Page 17 starts with the fund financial statements. So the fund financial statements show the city on the cash or the near term, the modified accrual basis. So anything that happens within 60 days of the year end, if it was an invoice paid or receipt taken in the first 60 days, then it's accounted for. Anything that's long-term is not accounted for. The general fund, your chief operating fund, had total assets of $2,783,000, liabilities of $25,000. The deferred inflows of resources there is the unavailable revenue is related to property taxes that have been levied and not yet received. So it's $42,199. Total fund balance of $2,715,000. Page 18 gives a reconciliation between those two balance sheets. Page 19 gives the income statement for the governmental funds. The total revenue of the general fund was $2,327,000. Expenditures of $2,169,000. And then the other financing sources and uses, the issuance of debt was related to a capital lease, and then the transfer out was money put away into the capital funds. So the total decrease in the general fund was $104,000. And then page 20 gives that reconciliation again between that statement of activities and that statement we just saw. 21 starts with the enterprise funds, so the water, the wastewater, and the liquor funds. The total for the enterprise funds assets were $16,668. Sorry, $16,668,000. Too many numbers. Liabilities of $5,327,000. Total net position of $11,360,000. Again, that net position is tied up a lot in the infrastructure and assets. Page 22 shows the income statement for those three funds, and that change in net position, the profit of the fund. The water fund had a $208,000 increase. Wastewater had about a $303,000 increase, and the liquor fund had about a $65,000 increase. Page 23 gives the cash flow, and that increase in cash, all three funds had positive increase in cash. The wastewater had a substantially larger amount of increase in cash there, and that was just due to the bond issuance there. On page 24, it starts with the notes. Again, gives you that narrative overview. If you skip back quite a ways through on page 39.
Holy cow, there's a lot of fluff in there I don't need to know.
Page 39, the fund balance note, in my opinion, is probably one of the most important notes in there. This gives you that, where are we at the end of the year, what kind of balance do we have left to go into the next year. The state target range is 35 to 50%. That's low for bonding. Bonding's gonna wanna make you at closer to that 75 to 80%. So that, what we're looking at is your unassigned fund balance of the general fund in relation to your expenditures. And at the end of 2020, you were at 120.5%. So you were over what the state wants, a little over what, bond rating and stuff would want, but not substantial.
And that actually went down since last year. I think we were at 130% and then we started allocating those amounts of money to those different funds that I had set up for future projects. So this 120%, I just want to note that it's sitting there because of projected projects in the past. It's been put away, and we will get it moved eventually and have it allocated to the specific projects. So.
Yeah, you put away what, 325,000 or so
Yeah,
last year.
but then again, they asked for 35 to 50% in regards to the expenditures, which is like a 6-month expenditures. I always put the 75%, even though that our fund balance policy says 65%, I put 75%. So I always give you guys a little extra cushion there too.
Well, in bonding, when you go through bond rating, they want 75%. So it's
Yeah.
kind of this gap between the state wants you to, you know, go bare bones. I mean, 50% is basically you're gonna be able to pay all your bills, and you're gonna be at almost zero when your LGA comes in, because that's how heavily reliant you are on LGA money and tax money. You know, so I think if you get too close to 50%, or even, I mean, 35% in a smaller city is, in my opinion, scary, because you're way too heavy reliant on LGA. You know, if you're city of Minneapolis and you have countless other fees coming in, maybe 35% is fine. So that's kind of a caution in there, is that's listed as here's what the state recommends, but that's a recommendation for every single city in the whole entire state, and you're not all the same.
So if I ever drop off the face of the earth, make sure that you tell the next person that you want at least 75 or more in there, so.
I'll go find her.
And then if you go back a few more pages, on page 55 starts with the budget comparison. And so this gives you a little bit more detail in the general fund. It shows the budget compared to actual with the variance and then the prior year. The revenues, you budgeted $2,025,293, actual is $2,327,000, so about $302,000 over budget on revenues. Page 56 goes on with the expenditures. A little bit of variances, not high, especially considering the COVID year, and you guys were able to maintain the budget pretty darn close there. The general government budget was $444,502. Actual was $430,000. Public safety is on the bottom there. Skipped it. Budget was $687. Actual $684. So just $2,600 under budget there. Public works budget was $449,000. Actual was $519. A little over budget there. Most of that just came with some of that equipment that was bought. Culture and recreation, you're gonna be substantially under budget. 529 was the budget, actual is 361. Again, you had the swimming pool that had very little expenses with no operations. Sanitation budget was 86, actual was 80,000. Economic development is some of the COVID stuff. I believe some of the COVID grant stuff went through there, so that's why that was unbudgeted. The miscellaneous budget was $45,000, actual was $42,929. And then that new capital lease had payments due, so that's where you're showing that debt service was unbudgeted. So the total expenditures, the budget was $2,242,000, actual was $2,169,000, 73,000 under budget there. And again, that transfer was unbudgeted. That's moving that money for those reserves. It's kind of money that's long been earmarked, it's just putting it in a separate spot. So you had a budget to have a shortfall of $217,000. Your actual shortfall is $104,000. So you were $112,789 over budget there, or to the good, I guess. And then if you skip back a little ways, on page 79 and 80 and 81 give you the legal compliance letter, and what that does is it tells you we didn't audit, not legal compliance, internal control. We didn't audit your internal control system, but we have to evaluate it, and if things come to our attention, we must notify you. And so on the top of page 80, there's two findings listed as significant deficiencies. They would be that middle of the road audit finding, enough to warrant your attention, but not so severe that we think things are actually going awry within the financials. And they're defined on page 81. The first one is the inability of the city to actually prepare financial statements. Much larger entities, or you have a much larger accounting staff, somebody in-house actually puts all the financials together. Auditors come in and put the report letters together. And then the second finding is the lack of separation within the accounting. 7 to 8 people is probably really what you'd need to truly keep all of the functions separate. So you have something, you have more than the one-man show here. But really, I mean, you're looking at needing, like I said, that staff of about 7 to 8 people to truly separate each of your functions. And even some of the ones I have that, you know, cities that are 5 or 6 staff people where maybe you could get decent internal controls, they just don't justify it because someone would always be held up on someone else, you know, because you can't cross certain tasks. You have to have the person who initiates the transaction separate from the person who records it, separate from the person who maintains it, separate from the person who authorizes it. And so those are the things where, you know, you constantly have someone waiting in the line for the other person to finish their job, so to speak. And then page 82 gives you the letter in legal compliance. And in relation to Minnesota legal compliance, there were no findings. And that's your audit.
In a nutshell.
Very, very,
So what you're saying is we have plenty of money.
No, we do not. We don't have any money.
well, you know, here's, I mean, your general fund is solid, but the way I look at it, I
Sarah,
wouldn't.
quit now.
But you don't have I mean, the reserves, you're starting to set them aside, but really why your general fund's so solid is because your reserves are in that number. They've never been truly earmarked. I mean, when you look at, what you would need in that rainy day fund, that equipment fund to replace all the stuff that could go wrong at the city at any given point, you're probably not as well off as what you think. For operations, you're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
We're not gonna have a catastrophe anymore. We're all done with them.
Can you promise that?
Well, shootings are getting closer, the weather's getting worse.
Well, considering last year, COVID and everything, we did pretty dang good.
Yeah. And, I mean, the one thing too to highlight is your liquor fund did well.
Very well.
But surprisingly, most did. I was anticipating going into the audits that I would see liquor stores that were way down. And I didn't realize how much we all needed a drink during COVID. I mean, it is, it's just, it baffles me. And
People can't stay with their friend,
Yeah.
or family during,
and how, you know, people weren't traveling, so, I think the test of it is gonna be now, coming out of it, now that people are going again, can some of these places make it still? We survived what we thought would be the hardest. I think the next couple of years are really gonna be the hardest.
can't disagree with that.
Anybody got any questions, concerns, thoughts?
You got it under control.
Trying.
She does.
I just been telling you we had no money.
Well, and there's a happy medium of being conservative and making sure you maintain the stuff that.
So we have it on the agenda to approve it tonight.
You gotta do that by resolution? No.
No, we just do it, just a motion on there.
And then she probably wants to check again.
She wants to check right away?
Well, she'll probably send us a bill now that she burned all these that.
Oh, I'm so far behind, don't ask me to do that right now. Oh.
So all cities have to have their audits done by the end of June, don't they, or something?
Actually in Minnesota, there's cities under 2,500 population can elect to, be on like regulatory or modified or a cash basis, and those are due March 31. And then any others, yes, are due June 30th, all of the accrual. And the state will give you a 45-day extension. But yeah, the technical due date is June 30th.
So what percentage does the state review for audits? Because
They go through every single
Everything.
one of them.
they do.
Yes.
They're all from
And you'll know it when they go through it, cause they'll be emailing you right
They'll
away.
ask a question on every single one. And sometimes I'm like, did you open to this page? Because there's your answer. I think they literally are just looking for something. But yeah, they'll.
So it's just an office full of people with a job, they needed a job.
So the state auditor, in the state auditor's office, that's who you have to report to, is
Right.
the state auditor's office. And once they get submitted there, then, yeah, they go through, they have, I think it's like 3 or 4 people, that's all they do, is desk reviews. And so they'll take them and go through it
And they
and
won't look at
questions,
everything.
yeah. If there's certain changes, if you have expenditure line items or revenue line items that go up a certain percentage, they'll ask why and,
But they do it all digital now instead of,
yeah, it goes in digitally, yes, yep,
Who signs these, me or?
You.
Me?
yep.
Is this just signing that I received the journal entries?
Yep.
I've never done that before.
No, and
Something must have happened.
no, not that something happened. It's one more way of, yeah.
Making sure that you did your job or something, yeah, whatever.
We actually did a few years ago, well, probably 10 years ago, 12 years ago.
Yep.
We did it for a while and then we stopped. And,
Oh, am I an outcast?
probably something that should be done.
Oh, yeah.
well, we have to show that we reviewed them and you received
They
them,
don't want
well.
to go in town.
Well, you
just
see
have no
mine,
chance.
mine always have notes on them,
Yeah,
if I did them or not.
But this is our way on our review, our
Oh, sure.
reviews.
That the
our
council
work.
actually saw.
Yes, that truly they saw.
They see that.
Plus that it makes sure I gives them to you, cause sometimes it's November and someone's like, I didn't get my adjustments, oh, oops. Forgot that
Need that.
detail.
Oh, I've never had a problem, we've always gotten them for you.
Oh. But if you want me to send them electronic too, I can.
No, this is fine, cause then
And you got the report electronic too?
yep,
Okay.
yeah, I printed that out. This big huge thing that I didn't do two-sided that
Oh.
Heather's gonna kick my butt for. I know, look at all the paper I wasted, sorry.
Well, I don't know, as I started looking at it electronically, I turned that page off, went to something different. Even though I have nothing else to do.
Encourage anybody other than
I asked Chris if she wanted me to have someone run them
I
over,
didn't
but.
encourage her, I just asked.
We were
if you
fine.
interested.
You weren't gonna sit there and look at everything, were you?
No, I opened it up and started and I'm going, yeah, we have money.
encourage some people to.
Nothing sticks out.
Yeah.
Since we have a little bit of time, we never did talk about acting mayor.
We did it?
Oh, we didn't in the workshop.
No, we didn't.
I thought we did post it.
Okay, so,
Do you want me to stay for the council meeting?
That's
or-
totally up to you.
you don't need
You,
to.
if you wanna head out, you can. Do you have to be to another one tonight?
No, I don't, so I can,
Okay.
if you want me and need me to stay, I'm totally fine, if,
You honestly don't have to if you don't
Yeah.
want to.
no crazy questions from the audience?
I'm guessing Derek isn't gonna ask any questions.
I don't know,
No, sir, not tonight.
All right,
Thank you
well,
for
have a good meeting.
everything.
Yes, we'll see you.
Thanks,
See ya.
Sarah.
Good night.
Alright, we're okay.
Hey, there was one other thing that was supposed to be on the workshop that
That
I,
meeting's closed.
okay.
Next.
dude.
Well, it is closed.
Well, you did something. You wanna open a new one, go ahead.
Oh, God.
Write it down.
Go ahead,
You
Mayor.
get shit for free.
Oh, that's what he did.
Wow.
You got that recorder going?
Yeah.
Because when his reelection is up.
Yeah,
we're gonna play
this
it.
one's still running too. I don't know if
Yeah.
the workshop's closed or not, but
Okay,
Would
anyhow.
you like to open a new workshop meeting?
No,
Yeah.
because I don't wanna pay you anymore.
Oh.
so I should turn
I
this
make a
off then.
motion to open a new, where,
Okay, anyway.
Anyhow.
The one thing that we have to do.
We forgot was that because Larry was acting mayor when the mayor was incapacitated, and according to seniority, Dave would be next on that list.
I'll forego that, I do not want to do that.
So then, next on that list, if Dave forgoes that, would be Andy.
I
That's fine.
make a motion to approve Andy as backup mayor.
Yep.
Okay,
It really probably should be you,
No.
because
As long as
you're
they
here,
do-
you're here in town. That's
So
why
is
I've never done it,
Andy.
I can't run off. He's in New Ulm all day.
Just shove it.
Proceed with
so,
Andy going